This station didn't look frightening at first, but believe me, it was the most terrifying place I'd ever been. Suddenly, a strange sound rumbled out of the tunnel. The disturbing noise kept rising in volume, making objects around it start to shift and tremble. In the crowd, a man named Sebastian felt that something was terribly wrong. He thought about running away, but paused just a moment longer than he should have. Those standing close to the tunnel began reacting strangely to the awful noise. The sound visibly altered them before everyone's eyes. Their eyes shifted into unnatural, swirling colors. They began to throw their bodies down onto the rails without warning. When the train neared, they walked right into its path like they were under a spell. Amid the chaos, Sebastian almost fell onto the tracks, but somehow managed to steady himself and escape harm. Soon after, his wife phoned, begging him to hurry home and collect their daughter, Anna, from class. While everything worsened, Sebastian watched his colleagues start ending their lives in front of him. Panic set in, and he bolted out of the building. Outside, someone dropped from a height, crashing onto his car and smashing it completely. The entire city had plunged into absolute disorder. Crowds scattered in terror while cars tore through the streets without control. Crashes and disasters erupted all over the place. Against the odds, Sebastian got away and sprinted toward Anna's school. When he reached the school, he saw the staff lifeless and the place almost destroyed. Flames tore across classrooms while the children stood frozen with terror. He took Anna's hand, protecting her as they pushed through the wreckage. As they moved on, they came to a church, and a priest stepped in front of him. The priest claimed that all of this was a holy sign, a blessing from above. But Sebastian didn't care for miracles and only cared about protecting his loved ones. Saying nothing more, he walked past and kept going. Once outside, he finally caught sight of his wife. But seconds after their embrace, a fast-moving car appeared and hit her, taking her life at once. 9 months passed, and Sebastian and Anna spent time together inside an empty skate park. Their quiet was broken by a sudden sound, and as they ran, blind thieves attacked and took all their supplies. Though injured, Sebastian attempted to resist, but Anna held him back. Later on, he thanked her, seeing the robbers were simply hungry and desperate. A radio alert warned that odd aliens were nearby, and no one should look at them, since they could take over minds and drive people to self-harm. With Anna beside him, Sebastian wrapped his eyes and stepped outside. He walked up to strangers with blindfolds on and asked if they had food, since he hadn't eaten for days. They hesitated at first, but Sebastian explained he was an engineer and knew where his firm's generator was, which could give power and warmth. Out of nowhere, the alien force drew near, and they chose to bring Sebastian along with them. They guided him to a hidden shelter where numerous survivors were gathered. One of the survivors, Martial, sees Sebastian's wounds and suggests he go see Liliana, a doctor hiding among them. She patches up his injuries and quietly asks what had occurred. He tells her he got hurt while fighting a group of thieves. Later on, she hands him some food, and all the survivors gather near a warm fire. A blind man begins to recount how the aliens almost caught him, but he blinded himself with a blade and managed to get away. He also mentions that the creatures leave a strange eye-shaped mark on the heads of their victims. When night falls and everyone is sleeping in an old bus, Sebastian suddenly starts the engine. Liliana demands to know why he's doing this, but Sebastian calmly replies that it will all be fine and pushes the accelerator. The others wake up in fear and try to stop him, but he grips the wheel harder and drives forward, destroying walls and anything in the way. Eventually, the bus crashes and rolls over, injuring everyone trapped inside. Just then, the aliens arrive at the wreckage. Martial, badly wounded, stumbles outside and by accident looks up at the aliens. He immediately ends his life with a piece of sharp metal. Liliana steps out, her body shaking but her eyes shut tight. Sebastian gently tells her to stay calm and forces her eyelids open with his hands. She sees the aliens for a second and dies instantly. Another survivor glimpses them and tosses his lit cigarette into fuel leaking from the bus, sparking an explosion that engulfs everything in fire. Sebastian watches golden streams leave the dead bodies and drift into the sky. It is then revealed that Anna is only a vision in Sebastian's mind. She praises him, calling him their redeemer, saying he did the right thing because now their souls are safe. Sebastian walks down a dark hall and finds people nailed to a wall, their hands bound. Many of them are already dead, but one man is still barely breathing. With his final words, the man says the creatures are monsters from the stars who will wipe out everyone. But Sebastian doesn't react, quietly insisting they are holy beings. He softly closes the dying man's eyes and imagines his spirit rising up to heaven. Soon after, Sebastian leaves to find his next victims. He notices a woman entering a pharmacy, her face wrapped in cloth like many others who learned to avoid the aliens. She hears footsteps and asks who is there. She tells him her name is Claire. Sebastian starts to repeat the same story, saying he is starving and knows about a working generator. Moments later, two men, Rafa and Octavio, arrive with their dogs and look at Sebastian suspiciously. They argue with Claire about trusting another stranger, but she is interested in his claim about the generator and thinks he might help them. Suddenly, the alien's presence grows close, leaving them no time to discuss it further. They grab Sebastian and flee with him to their shelter, an old nuclear bunker. Inside, Sebastian meets the rest of the survivors. Among them is a young German girl, Sophia, and an older couple, Isabel and Roberto. Claire gives Sophia a piece of chocolate she saved, making the little girl smile with happiness. Rafa and Octavio pull Sebastian aside, demanding more proof about the generator. In his mind, Anna warns him not to tell the truth and to convince them to leave. He listens to her and admits he lied about everything, angering Rafa and Octavio, who prepare to throw him out. As they grab him, Sophia begins speaking in German. No one else can understand, but Sebastian claims she said not to exile him. The group is shocked since nobody ever knew what Sophia was saying or where she came from. Curious and relieved, they decide to let Sebastian stay and ask him to learn more about the girl's story. Sophia starts explaining how she and her mother were climbing a ramp when screams broke out and everyone started panicking. People were throwing themselves into the river in despair. She and her mother somehow survived and hid inside a delivery van. While hiding there, they heard a radio message about a safe place in the mountains. The group asks Sophia if she remembers where it was. She shakes her head, then takes some chalk and begins drawing it. On the wall, she sketches a castle standing high atop a mountain. Claire thinks the place might be Montjuic Castle. Sophia goes on, explaining that she and her mother blindfolded themselves and left the van. But while escaping, she tripped and got separated from her mother. She never saw her again after that moment. Overcome by sorrow, Sophia begins to weep and Claire gently comforts her, telling the others she found Sophia and took her in. The group starts discussing whether to go to the castle. Sebastian argues that it's worth attempting and that survivors and perhaps Sophia's mother could be there. He says they also can't survive much longer in the bunker. Roberto disagrees, warning that it would be a fatal journey. Yet when everyone votes, most agree to go. Roberto hesitates, but eventually nods his consent. That night, Sebastian again sees the ghostly figure of Anna who starts filling his mind with her words. Under her influence, he quietly cuts part of the dog's ropes so they will break free when chaos comes the next day. As he predicted, dawn brings disorder. The aliens arrive and the dogs break loose, adding confusion. The instant the creatures appear, everyone starts reliving their worst memories. Claire is tortured by visions of her brother's death. Sophia hears her mother's voice, softly asking her to remove her blindfold. Just as she starts to lift it, Octavio quickly stops her. Nearby, Rafa is searching everywhere for his dogs. When he can't find them, he panics, rips off his blindfold, and stares straight at the aliens. Instantly, he loses control and smashes his head through a car window, dying. Claire, trapped in her memory, sits frozen, holding her head in despair. Octavio tries to rouse her and searches for a safe place to regroup. At the same time, Roberto is bitten by one of the frenzied dogs. Blood pours from the wound in his arm. Octavio shouts, telling everyone to follow him to safety. He keeps calling out for Rafa, but no one answers. Claire quietly says that Rafa is gone. Hearing this, Octavio collapses, stricken by grief. Inside, Isabel begins tending to Roberto's injury. As she wraps his arm, Roberto mumbles that he heard she had been unfaithful to him. Isabel insists it's a lie, and that the aliens are planting false memories to weaken them. Later, Octavio explains he thinks the aliens came from some quantum dimension. He believes they change shape based on each person's fears and use that terror to control them. Claire opens up about her brother's struggles. He had severe depression, and though she was a psychiatrist, she couldn't save him. The guilt has never left her. She turns to Sebastian and asks what he heard in his mind when the aliens attacked. He cuts her off, asking instead where Sophia is now. Claire begins to go find Sophia, but Sebastian gently tells her to rest and that he'll check on the child. He finds Sophia alone, quietly crying. He kneels and gives her a locket, the same one he once gave Anna on her birthday. The scene then shifts to 7 months ago, on Anna's birthday. Sebastian kisses her and promises they will celebrate later. Back in the present, Anna's voice questions why he gave her locket away. As he stands there, Claire enters and notices something strange, asking who Anna truly is. She asks if Anna is his wife or daughter, since the locket has Anna's name engraved on it. She pushes further, wondering if it was Anna's voice he heard when the aliens appeared. Claire, revealing she is a psychiatrist, calmly offers to help him without expecting anything back. She explains that he is being manipulated by the aliens and must face it. She shares that she too heard her dead brother's voice but realized it was only a trick. Behind Claire, the illusion of Anna keeps whispering, urging Sebastian not to trust her. He looks torn, almost believing Claire's words when a scream from Roberto interrupts them. His infection has spread, growing worse by the minute. Claire quickly says they need antibiotics at once. She, Sebastian, and Octavio blindfold themselves and go search the building. Claire enters a bathroom lined with medicine cabinets while the men search another area. Octavio finds no medicine but does locate some food. He calls out, checking if Sebastian is alright. Meanwhile, Anna's voice is again in Sebastian's mind, murmuring. Distracted, Sebastian says the windows are shut and it's safe to come in. But when Octavio enters, he notices a window open to the night. He lifts his blindfold for a second, sees the aliens, and immediately falls under their power. In a frenzy, he grabs a knife and stabs himself over and over until he dies. Sebastian watches, horrified and shaken. Unlike the others, he does not see Octavio's spirit rise from his body. He feels heavy regret as Claire rushes in, hearing the noise, and tells him they have to leave quickly. Anna's voice pleads with him to pull off Claire's blindfold, but Claire drags him away before he acts. Back with the others, Isabel asks where Octavio is. Claire, tearful, says he didn't survive. She gives Isabel the antibiotics for Roberto's treatment. Isabel then wonders why Sebastian is sitting apart from the rest. Claire explains he feels responsible for Octavio's death and believes he left the window open. It's clear that guilt is consuming him. Later, Anna appears in his thoughts again, asking why he didn't uncover Claire's eyes. Sebastian replies that when Octavio died, he never saw his soul rise. Anna accuses him of losing faith. Sebastian breaks down and admits maybe he isn't a savior at all, but a predator instead. Claire, Sebastian, and the elderly couple venture outside once more, only to meet humans controlled by the aliens, called Seers. The leader of the Seers is the same priest Sebastian encountered at the church 9 months earlier. In the chaos, Roberto and Isabel become separated from the others. The aliens surround them swiftly. They understand their end has come. Roberto looks at Isabel, wishing for one last moment together. They take off their blindfolds, share a silent farewell, and are overtaken. Meanwhile, Claire finds Sebastian's goggles that allow him to see clearly. The truth strikes her at once. Sebastian has been lying from the start. He isn't just a survivor, he is connected to the aliens. She realizes he likely caused Rafa and Octavio's deaths and perhaps others too. Taking Sophia's hand, she backs away from him, determined to protect the girl. Sebastian still hears Anna's voice whispering inside his mind. She tells him that only 2 more need to die for their reunion. Claire guides Sophia up to the ceiling of the bunker. She tells her to keep the blindfold on, no matter what happens, but Sebastian follows them silently. Claire, trying to keep her distance, missteps in her blindness and falls down the stairs, losing consciousness. Now Sophia stands alone in front of Sebastian. Anna's voice urges him to remove the girl's blindfold. He reaches out, almost surrendering, but emotion stops him. He cannot bring himself to harm Sophia. Instead, he hugs her, and something inside him changes. For the first time in ages, he feels human again. A memory returns. 7 months ago, on Anna's birthday, Sebastian was celebrating with his daughter. The happiness was short-lived. The priest invaded their home. He took Anna and Sebastian to the ceiling. There, he painted an eye on Anna's forehead and forced her to open her eyes. She fell under the alien's control and leapt to her death. Sebastian was shattered. He glared at the priest in rage, but then made eye contact with the aliens. That moment was all it took. They seized his mind entirely. Anna's ghostly form appeared beside him, holding his hand, promising they'd be together again. Back in the present, Sebastian returns to Claire and Sophia. He tries to express his regret. Claire stays wary and keeps her distance, but Sebastian insists he was deceived. He believed he was chosen but now sees it was all a lie. He only wants to help them survive. Unlike anyone else, he can see the aliens and remain alive. It's the only advantage he has left. As the Seers start to pursue them, Sebastian quickly leads Claire and Sophia away. One Seer catches up and attacks, digging her fingers into his eyes to blind him. With sudden strength, Sebastian shoves her back. She falls and dies instantly. Wasting no time, Sebastian puts Claire and Sophia in a car and drives toward the mountain castle. Along the road, he keeps glimpsing Anna's shadow urging him to turn back and surrender. But he keeps going forward. Finally, he arrives at the cable lift tower, the only path to the castle where the army's safe zone lies. He parks the car by the entrance, blocking the Seer's path. Helping Claire and Sophia out, he ignites the fuel tank and sets the car on fire. The cable lift is their last chance to escape. As Claire and Sophia prepare to board, Sebastian says it's time to part ways. Claire pleads with him to come along, but he insists on staying to hold back the Seers. Claire reluctantly says goodbye and begins the climb with Sophia. Midway up, Sophia nearly slips through a gap and starts to fall. Claire grabs her hand in time, pulling her to safety. Realizing they won't survive otherwise, she removes her blindfold to guide them. Despite the danger, she presses on. Meanwhile, the priest arrives with his followers. As they reach the car, it explodes in a massive blast, flames blocking their way. Furious but undeterred, the priest calls out to Sebastian. He proclaims Sebastian was chosen for the aliens' grand design. He urges him to surrender and join their mission. But Sebastian stands firm. He refuses them outright. Clutching a metal rod, he readies himself for a fight. His eyes show defiance as he declares he does not believe in their false god. On the tower, Claire reaches the top and tries to start the lift. But she finds the power is out, and the lift remains still. A new idea sparks in her mind as she spots a giant bell nearby. She begins to ring it loudly, hoping to attract the aliens. The sound draws them closer. Their energy activates the lift, making it come alive. At the same time, the aliens start seizing Sebastian's mind again. They whisper that the priest has come to free them all. In the fire, he sees Anna's shape, engulfed in flames. The vision almost breaks him, but he fights to hold on. The aliens try to overtake Claire and Sophia's minds. Claire hears her dead brother's voice again. Meanwhile, Sebastian stares at Anna's burning image but forces himself to focus. He reminds himself Anna is gone. With renewed will, he swings the rod and strikes the priest in the stomach. As Sophia nears the tower's edge, Claire catches her just in time. She concentrates on the lift, noting that its doors take exactly 4 seconds to cycle. She plans to jump aboard just before they close. Meanwhile, the priest attacks Sebastian, wounding him badly. Blood flows from Sebastian, but he does not give up. The priest taunts him, saying he will die in vain. But Sebastian replies that even if he dies, Claire and Sophia will live. He is ready to sacrifice everything for his daughter. As the alien voices assault Claire's mind, she clings to her focus. She counts the seconds, and when the time comes, she leaps onto the lift, taking Sophia with her. They make it to safety. Claire, overwhelmed, silently thanks Sebastian in her heart. Meanwhile, Sebastian breathes his last. In his final moments, Anna appears, embracing him gently as he fades away. Claire and Sophia reach the castle at last. Soldiers come to escort them for questioning. The facility is vast, full of survivors from the city. Sophia's mother spots her, and they reunite in tears. She thanks Claire for saving her daughter. Later, soldiers take Claire for her inquiry. A medical officer examines her eyes to ensure she is untainted. Claire explains she has never joined the aliens, but one man helped her reach safety. She says many others still need help. The officer injects her with a chemical marker. Claire asks why it's needed. He explains it will detect any epigenetic changes in her DNA. These changes, caused by trauma, transform people into seers. Individuals who can see the aliens but remain enslaved. Claire realizes this must have happened to Sebastian. Losing his daughter altered his DNA, allowing him to see them but not die. The aliens likely made him into one of their seers. The officer says if Claire has become a seer, her blood might help create a vaccine. Meanwhile, in a lab, 2 army scientists are working on such a vaccine. They test it on rats using a seer's blood. The rats survive only 48 seconds after seeing an alien shadow. Now they try a stronger compound, hoping to extend survival to a minute. But again, the experiment fails, and the rats die quickly. The captured seer keeps screaming over and over, begging to see the aliens, and so the film ends here. Although it took me 24 hours to compose the video, you still have not subscribed and liked it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel.